On the night of January 11, 2024, the Red Sea became a battleground. Tomahawk cruise missiles screamed from U.S. Navy destroyers. F/A-18 Super Hornets roared off carrier decks. And in Yemen, more than 60 Houthi military targets erupted in flames. This wasn't just another Middle Eastern conflict. This was about something far bigger: the arteries of global commerce, the freedom of the seas, and a message that would echo from Washington to Tehran. Tonight, we're going inside the strike that shook the Red Sea and changed the rules of modern naval warfare forever. To understand why the United States launched one of its most significant military operations in years, we need to rewind to November 2023. The Red Sea. For centuries, this narrow waterway has been one of humanity's most vital maritime corridors. It connects the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean through the Suez Canal in the north and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the south. Every single day, roughly 12% of global trade passes through these waters. Oil tankers from the Persian Gulf, container ships from Asia bound for Europe, grain carriers feeding millions. The economic value: over $1 trillion in goods annually. But in the fall of 2023, this critical highway became a hunting ground. The Houthis, a Yemeni militant group backed by Iran, began launching attacks on commercial vessels. Their stated reason: solidarity with Palestinians during the Israel-Gaza conflict that erupted in October. But the reality was far more complex. The Houthis, officially known as Ansar Allah, had been fighting a brutal civil war in Yemen since 2014. With Iranian support, they'd grown from a regional insurgency into one of the most technologically sophisticated non-state actors in the world. They possessed anti-ship ballistic missiles, explosive-laden drones, sophisticated radar systems, and most dangerously, the willingness to use them against international shipping. On November 19, 2023, the Houthis seized the Galaxy Leader, a cargo ship with links to an Israeli businessman. The crew, 25 innocent sailors, became hostages overnight. This was just the beginning. Over the next 8 weeks, Houthi forces launched more than 27 attacks on commercial vessels. Drones crashed into hulls. Missiles screamed across the water. Ships were hijacked, damaged, or forced to alter course thousands of miles to avoid the Red Sea entirely. Insurance premiums skyrocketed. Shipping companies rerouted vessels around the entire continent of Africa, adding 2 weeks and hundreds of thousands of dollars to each voyage. The global supply chain was under siege, and the world's most powerful navy was watching. In December 2023, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin stood before cameras in Bahrain and announced the formation of Operation Prosperity Guardian, a multinational naval coalition designed to protect shipping in the Red Sea. The mission was clear: defend freedom of navigation, deter Houthi aggression, and if necessary, destroy the threat. Within weeks, the waters off Yemen became home to some of the most advanced warships ever built. The USS Carney, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer bristling with Aegis radar systems and interceptor missiles. The USS Laboon, the USS Mason. These weren't just ships. They were floating fortresses, each capable of tracking and engaging dozens of targets simultaneously. And on January 2, 2024, they proved it. The USS gravely detected a swarm of Houthi drones and anti-ship cruise missiles racing toward commercial vessels in the southern Red Sea. In minutes, the crew launched SM-2 surface-to-air missiles and activated their close-in weapon system, a Gatling gun firing 4,500 rounds per minute. Every single threat was destroyed, but the attacks didn't stop. If anything, they escalated. On January 9, The largest Houthi assault yet was launched. A coordinated barrage of 21 drones and missiles targeting shipping lanes. U.S. and British warships intercepted every single one. But the message was clear. Defensive operations alone wouldn't end this. The Houthis were operating with impunity from positions inside Yemen. Their coastal radar sites tracked ships. Their missile launchers sat hidden in mountains and caves. Their drone assembly facilities churned out new threats daily. And behind it all, Iran provided the blueprints, the components, and the encouragement. President Joe Biden faced a choice: continue playing defense, absorbing attacks while global trade bled, or strike back. On January 11, 2024, he made his decision. The operation was codenamed Poseidon Archer. At approximately 2:30 a.m. local time, the attack began. From the decks of the USS Philippine Sea and USS Gravely, Tomahawk cruise missiles ignited. These weapons, each carrying a 1,000-pound warhead, are the precision instruments of American power projection. They fly low, hugging terrain, nearly invisible to radar, and strike with devastating accuracy. More than 80 Tomahawks were launched that night. Simultaneously, FA-18 Super Hornets from the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group roared into the darkness. Loaded with Joint Direct Attack munitions, GPS-guided bombs, they streaked toward their targets at near supersonic speeds. British Royal Air Force Typhoon fighters joined the assault, launching from their base in Cyprus. The targets had been selected with surgical precision over weeks of intelligence gathering. Satellite imagery, signals intercepts, human intelligence from assets inside Yemen. The list included radar installations that tracked commercial shipping, command and control facilities coordinating attacks, missile storage bunkers carved into mountainsides, drone assembly workshops, coastal defense positions housing anti-ship cruise missiles. In total, more than 60 Houthi military sites across 16 locations were hit. In Sana'a, the Houthi-controlled capital, the night sky lit up with explosions. In the port city of Hodeidah, a critical staging ground for maritime attacks, missile batteries were obliterated. Along the western coast, radar stations went dark. The Pentagon described it as a proportional response. But the scale spoke for itself. This was the most significant U.S. military action in Yemen since 2016. And it was just the beginning. Over the following days and weeks, U.S. forces conducted follow-on strikes. Cruise missiles took out mobile missile launchers, attempting to relocate. Drones eliminated weapons caches. Navy destroyers intercepted Houthi anti-ship ballistic missiles before they could reach their targets. One engagement on January 17 was particularly significant. The USS Carney detected an incoming anti-ship ballistic missile, a weapon designed specifically to destroy warships. It marked the first time a U.S. Navy vessel had been targeted by such a weapon in combat since the Cold War. The destroyer's Aegis system engaged. An SM-6 missile, one of America's most advanced interceptors, launched vertically from the ship's vertical launch tubes, climbed into the stratosphere, and obliterated the incoming threat. The crew had mere minutes to react. They performed flawlessly. But despite the military success, the strategic picture was complicated. The Houthis, bloodied but defiant, vowed to continue their attacks. Iranian officials condemned the strikes while quietly continuing to resupply their proxies. And in the international community, reactions were mixed. Some praised the U.S. for defending global commerce. Others warned of escalation, of dragging the Middle East into a wider war. And behind closed doors, military planners faced an uncomfortable truth. You can't bomb an ideology. You can't cruise missile away a proxy network decades in the making. The Red Sea crisis wasn't over. It had simply entered a new phase. In the weeks following the strikes, shipping companies cautiously began returning to the Red Sea. Insurance premiums stabilized. The immediate threat to commercial vessels decreased, though it never fully disappeared. But the operation revealed something far more significant than just tactical success. It exposed the new face of maritime warfare. For decades, naval dominance meant aircraft carriers, submarines, and massive battle groups. The U.S. Navy's power was unquestioned, measured in tonnage, firepower, and technological superiority. But the Red Sea crisis demonstrated that even the world's most advanced navy could be challenged by a non-state actor, and with drones costing a few $1,000s each. The asymmetry was staggering. A Houthi drone might cost $20,000 to build. The SM-2 missile used to shoot it down, $2.4 million. A single Tomahawk cruise missile, nearly $2 million. The economics of this new warfare favored the attacker, at least in the short term. Admiral Michael Gilday, then Chief of Naval Operations, acknowledged the challenge publicly. The Navy, he said, needed to invest in cheaper, more sustainable ways to defeat drone swarms and missile threats. Directed energy weapons, lasers capable of burning drones out of the sky at the cost of a few dollars per shot, moved from experimental programs to urgent priorities. But beyond the tactical lessons, the Red Sea strikes sent strategic signals. To Iran, your proxy networks can strike, but they'll pay a price. To China, America's willingness to defend international waterways remains absolute, a message resonating far beyond the Middle East to the South China Sea. To commercial shipping, the U.S. Navy remains the guarantor of free navigation, the invisible hand keeping global trade flowing. And to the American public, the era of forever wars might be over, but protecting vital interests requires military action, swift, precise, and when necessary, devastating. Yet questions linger. Did the strikes deter the Houthis, or simply pause them? Can military force alone solve a problem rooted in regional conflict, sectarian division, and great power competition? As of late 2024, sporadic Houthi attacks continue. The U.S. maintains a robust naval presence in the region, and the Red Sea remains a flashpoint, a narrow waterway where global trade, regional conflict, and superpower politics collide. The strike that shook the Red Sea didn't end the crisis, but it redefined the rules of engagement in an era where drones, missiles, and proxies challenge even the mightiest navies. Stand on the deck of a U.S. Navy destroyer in the Red Sea today, and you're witnessing the future of conflict. Sailors stare not at enemy battleships on the horizon, but at radar screens tracking dozens of potential threats. Combat doesn't happen at visual range. It unfolds in milliseconds, decided by algorithms, interceptor missiles, and split-second decisions. The Red Sea crisis of 2024 was a preview, a glimpse into a world where non-state actors wield weapons once reserved for superpowers, where a militant group in one of the world's poorest countries can disrupt $1 trillion in global trade, where the cost of defense vastly exceeds the cost of attack. But it also proved something timeless, that freedom of the seas isn't guaranteed by treaties or international goodwill. It's protected by sailors, pilots, and strategists willing to stand watch in dangerous waters. The strike that shook the Red Sea wasn't just about Yemen or the Houthis or even Iran. It was about a principle as old as maritime trade itself, that the world's waterways belong to everyone, and no group, no matter how determined, can hold them hostage. As long as ships carry cargo across oceans, as long as global trade depends on narrow straits and ancient sea routes, the world's navies will stand guard. The Red Sea crisis may fade from headlines, but the lessons learned about technology, strategy, and the evolving nature of power will shape naval warfare for decades to come. This is the new reality. Welcome to the future of conflict.